It's that time again for the assault on your ears we call Lower Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast. I'm Aaron, and with me is Stavros. So Stavros, I demand you explain what we're drinking right now.
I'm glad you asked. I mean, demanded. But today we are drinking Screwball. That's spelled S-K-R-E-W ball. It is a peanut butter whiskey. And we're back on the whiskey train, I see. But, I've been nursing this whiskey for a few minutes now, and I have to say it is quite delicious. It's very peanut buttery and very smooth. No complaints from me.
Yes, indeed. It's probably the smoothest whiskey I've ever tasted. A bit too sweet for my usual preference, but the flavor is fantastic. Makes a great mixer. Throw it in with, say, some jelly liqueur or a nice root beer, and it tastes great. But even ice cold, just by itself, it comes across fantastic.
Yes, indeed. Well, shall we talk about this episode?
Let's just talk about the alcohol some more. I feel like this episode was a waste of time.
That's exactly what this podcast is for.
So tonight, we're watching episode 4 of season 2, Mugato Gumatu. Reference to the troubles that they had with the nomenclature of the gorilla-horned aliens in TOS.
Yes, indeed. And I've also heard that this is a reference to tomato, which is another swing at the pronunciation issues with Mugato.
Yes, tomato, the famous quote to reference people who pronounce things correctly and people who pronounce them wrong.
I'm pretty sure you're right with that. But which one's right? Anyway, perhaps I should give a synopsis of this episode. So when the Cerritos is called to a planet in order to track down some Mugatos/Gumatos, depending on how you like to pronounce them, an away team turns into a Boimler/Rutherford duo adventure as they discover a Ferengi poaching operation and are forced to flee together, even away from Mariner, who they are convinced is a Starfleet intelligence black operative. Meanwhile, Tendi is assigned to complete physicals for reluctant crew members, ending with the most difficult patient of all, Dr. T'Ana. And, it's kind of funny, as someone with doctors in the family, I, of course, know that doctors make the worst patients, so makes complete sense there.
Oh, rub it in that your family aren't all trash scavengers.
Are your family all trash scavengers?
Well, no, not all of them.
Some things you just learn from, different people of different walks of life.
Yes, but I do want to point out something. Definitely Denobulans.
Yes, yeah, we talked about that in the trailer. They're so brief. They showed up so briefly in the trailer that I thought they might be Cardassians, but you were totally right. Denobulans. They do the puffer face thing and everything.
It's fantastic. Did not scare the Mugato.
So are they dead or?
Okay, Debbie Downer, immediately go to those friendly Denobulans. Must be dead. In my headcanon, they got away and are now living a happy life as foragers on, what the heck was the name of this planet again? Frylon?
I think Frylon 4, yes.
Yes. Of course, the question is, how did the Mugato get there?
Yes, I think that is something that they don't talk about at all, because I believe in the original series episode, A Private Little War, they are on a planet called Neural, and supposedly the Mugatos, Gomatus are from that are native to that.
Come on, man! So pick a pronunciation and stick with it.
You know what? That actually brings me to the inaugural instance of a brand new segment for this show that I have not passed by you at all. And you know what it's called? It's called Dammit Mike. Damn it, Mike McMahon. You had one job. Star Trek canon was all in line. Of course, there was that instance where the original series cast couldn't pronounce the name of the alien. But here you are having Boimler saying things that it makes it completely canon that all of these different pronunciations of Mugatos are perfectly legitimate. And we did not need that. Everything was fine. Mugatos was the right way to pronounce it. I wish, Mike, please Damn it, Mike. Just let us have the one correct pronunciation. We could have fixed all of this with Boimler saying, the one correct pronunciation is Mugato, and then we could have been fine. But no, here we are. Every single mispronunciation in this episode is now canon.
But you know what the best part?
Why'd you do it?
You know what the best part about the mispronunciation is?
What?
It's not that every character is choosing their own way to pronounce it. Shaxs pronounces it multiple different ways in the same scene.
Yes! And per Boimler, all of them are now canon. So, Mike, please, why'd you do this? Why did you have to do this to us?
It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from The Last Starfighter, where the big bad villain has revealed himself, and you have Centauri, Grig, and Alex all standing there, and Centauri's all like, Zer, and Grig is all like, Zer, and Alex is all like, Zooer? And you're all like, damn it, Alex, you just heard it pronounced twice. Universe is doomed. Somebody that dumb should not be in a fighter cockpit.
Does he have to know pronunciations in order to be a good fighter pilot, though? I'm not sure.
Literally.
But no, now we're stuck with all of these mispronunciations being canon, and I'm not sure the Star Trek canon needed this. I might lose my mind.
Well, you know what? I think for a one-off monster of the week, they can get away with pronouncing it however they like.
Fair enough. But the good thing about the Mugatos, and I'm going to stick with that pronunciation because, damn it, Mike, but apparently their poop is tangy and tasty.
Yeah, Shaxs seem to be enjoying it. But you know what? People eat weird stuff. You never know. Maybe alien horned monkey poop is fantastic tasting. Who am I to judge?
But, we do see a lot of different Mugatos on this planet. Like we mentioned earlier, they seem to not be indigenous to this planet, so somebody at some point brought them over to Frontline 4 from Neural. At first I was a little... It seemed like they're kind of naturally, kind of in the wild there, and the Ferengi have simply captured some of them to sell their horns and whatnot. I don't think the Ferengi have a monopoly on the Mugatos on this planet. They just happen to have captured some.
Could be. I mean, maybe they were, repopulated there after their homeworld became inhospitable to them.
Yeah, that's another option. All I can say though, since we're talking about Mugatos, is I'm glad that there's that shot where the parent Mugato loses the baby to the Ferengi. And I was watching this, I was like, damn it, you better give that damn baby back. And then sure enough, right in the closing shot, you see him get back down. I was like, thank God I can keep watching this show.
Ah, poor Mugato baby.
One thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of glossed over in the summary is the fact that Boimler and Rutherford think Mariner is a Black Ops agent, something that they get from the bartender at the bar area on the Cerritos. Yes. And for a while, I was like, you know what? We're going to learn something about Mariner's background in this episode. But guess what? We don't, because it's all complete lies.
Yes. Of course, the real thing here is the mysterious bartender. I feel
yes.
like that voice is something I've heard before, but I can't place the reference. And I love the fact that the only reason people believe that is because he spreads any rumor you tell him.
Honus is his name.
Yes, Honus.
I just rewatched that episode with the captions on, and his name is Honus. He's got kind of like a vaguely, I'm not sure, maybe Irish accent or some kind of accent that makes him seem kind of like more like a wizened bartender. But then of course his manager yells at him. But and they kind of play up the Mariner being scary as hell, especially when she plays some Abujitsu with Rutherford and Boimler, and utterly beats the crap out of them. I wasn't sure what they were trying to show there. Of course I guess it's hilarious to beat up your friends. Well,
it's funny because it starts with, Rutherford and Boimler having been practicing. And they immediately get the upper hand on Mariner. And then, when Mariner realizes she can take the kid gloves off, she immediately turns around and goes ape on them. Or Mugato on them.
Well,
but
Good choice of words.
The best part is you'll notice that Boimler's injuries are the exact same injuries that him and Rutherford inflicted upon Boimler. That him and Rutherford inflicted upon Mariner.
Yes. Although Mariner then takes it to the next level with the kid gloves off. Like, she breaks her stick in half and, like, stabs people through their hands and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, this
yes.
In fact, this episode in general, much more blood and gore than what we've seen.
Got pretty dark at times. Pretty dark.
Yeah. Yes. And that takes us to our Aussie Tellarite, Patingi, who has read several books on Mugatos.
Yeah, Australian Tellarite. What the hell is that about?
I was like, are we going to see more of this guy? No.
Head clean off.
Yeah, but lots of blood.
Yeah,
there's
blood.
Mugato blood. There's Mugato blood. There's Shaxs blood. I'm not sure. Very, very similar shade. I'm not sure. It's one of those.
Yes.
But every single, you know, gosh, there are like multiple instances of physical violence in this episode.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah. But, you know, that brings us to the main focus of the episode, which is the Boimler-Rutherford team-up adventure, which I thought was amazing. We haven't really seen a lot of these characters together in previous episodes. And I think we covered in our preview episode that they were going to try and mix and match characters together.
Yes.
And I think this is what we've seen for the Boimler-Rutherford one.
Although I feel like it's getting a little ham-fisted at this point. It serves the story well of the how much do we really know about Mariner. But it's all like, what's going to happen next episode, you know, when Tendi and Boimler have to team up.
They will also learn something strange about Rutherford and or Mariner.
Yeah, you know, it turns out that the reason Rutherford is a cyborg is because he shaved a little too close.
A classic mistake. But I do love how they ended up solving the issue. I mean, these two characters, usually nonviolent unless Rutherford activates his implant, I guess. And turns all assassiny. But then they get in and solve the Ferengi problem by I don't know if you caught it, where they make this tube that looks like Rutherford's gonna fire like a rocket launcher, which I think must be a callback to that Gorn episode.
Kirk fight. And it turns out it's a holographic projector, which I can get behind a rudimentary cannon. Yeah, it's a little stretchy, but a rudimentary holo projector, like, oh, we found these crystals and this light-emitting fungi. Let's go. How does that work?
You know, I feel like, at least in this episode, Rutherford and Boimler have access to... It looks like they, like, break into a crate or something, and they
feel like
they
you're
like,
making
have some
excuses.
Tools.
You know what?
You know, Kirk just had the tree, and he just turned it into a
I'm sorry,
somehow.
This is the point where my suspension of disbelief fails. I'm sorry. You went too far, Lower Decks.
Too far. You can't just have holoprojectors coming out of tubes. Don't make no sense.
Don't make no sense, sir. You best go back to that writing room and give it one more pass.
Honestly, I love the way that they resolved this. They contrast it a lot to the Mariner method of solving things, which is just often she just gets in there and beats the heck out of things. And I'm glad that they made that distinction there, because you know what? If Mariner is not Black Ops, that she doesn't need to solve every single problem.
Yeah, but I mean, that comes up a lot, you know, whenever anybody else goes to solve a problem. Like, I feel like her and Tendi are the only ones that would immediately resort to violence, you know?
Tendi, yes. Although, yeah.
Oh, you were just supposed to transport us out of here.
That's right. Has every single character had some kind of violent explosion except for Boimler, maybe?
He's just chill all around, which is how we know he's going to be the next great Starfleet captain.
Yes, of course. I mean, makes sense.
So, but I do want to talk about how they resolved the issue. So they give their presentation, and they're like, you can make 150% more profits. But I'm like, I need more details about their business plan. So it's 150% more profits. Is that over the course of the program? Like, how long was the Mugato harvesting program going to last versus how long is the Mugato habitat going to last? Because if it's 150% more profits spread out over 20 years versus, the 100% profits over 2 years, these Ferengi are getting into a bad deal. And, based solely on their behavior in the episode, I think they're not thinking things through, and they should take a second look at this business proposal.
Yeah, the Ferengi does specifically mention it's going to take more time.
More work.
The amount of time needed. He says more time too, I think, right? He says it's could be. I think it's in there, but I mean, you're right. They don't. It's not exactly clear how much time is needed. But my main concern is, it's they call it. You can see the sign being unfurled. First of all, the Ferengi's name is Kink, Kynk, which is hilarious for its own reasons. But then the sign says Mugato land. And my first thought was, you already have Mugatos in cages, and the slightest mishap caused all the gates to open and all the Mugatos to run free and murder a bunch of people, possibly. Like, are we just gonna forget about like the Jurassic Park, movie in here? If we're just gonna, everything's gonna be fine.
Well, just
be peaceful.
Don't hire the lowest bidder to build your security software, and you'll be fine. I mean, just don't let
I feel like the
Nedry
Ferengi would do that.
into the park. You'll be okay.
What's like the Ferengi equivalent of Nedry?
Oh God, I don't even know.
I feel like the Ferengi would go there, though.
Yeah,
They would think it's cost effective. I feel like it's only a matter of time until we come back to Kink's Mugato land, and all of the Mugatos will be free, and everyone will be dead.
Yeah, he hired Lek to be security and Brunt to be park management,
But let's go back to the Cerritos, because there's a lot of fun stuff happening there as well. One thing I noticed with the Tendi side plot, have you noticed Tendi has a medical coat, but she never wears it when she's on duty? She only wears it when she's running around the ship doing weird medical stuff.
Yeah, she's got to differentiate
kind of amazing.
herself. If she's in the med bay, you assume she's a doctor. But if she's just running around, you don't know. Maybe you got a stubbed finger, and you're like, oh shit, is this an astrometrics officer or a nurse practitioner? And you don't want to go to the astrometrics officer, because they're going to be like, let me get my telescope. And you're going to be like, shit.
It's a good observation. But yeah, maybe it's a thing. Like, if you're on a medical assignment and you're out of sickbay, put on this coat. That's the only way people will know. The Dr. Crusher effect, maybe.
Yes.
But, one of the things that's actually bugging me about this whole season, and that comes up while Tendi is doing her thing, is that she interrupts a fight, a sparring match between Jet and Kayshon, in order to scan Jet.
Why does this
and Jet
bother
gets knocked
you?
out.
Why do you keep talking about this?
I want to know. Look, what's Kayshon's job, Mike?
He's a security officer. You can have more than one on a ship.
Which one? So are there two chiefs of security?
No, there's a chief.
You can't just leave this hanging.
There's a chief of security and the what do you call him? The squall of security or squaw of security.
So which one is which?
Well, I mean, obviously Shaxs got his old job back.
Why?
Well, maybe
he
because Kayshon's first outing did not go well.
That is true. He just got immediately puppeted, and then it was bad news from there.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's clear that his old ship didn't want him back.
Yes, I suppose that's true, but I need answers. Kayshon he had this dramatic entrance. I strongly remember the scene where he pops out of the turbo lift and it's all dramatic, and then he has his jokes about Shako and the walls fell, and he fails at women.
Background character.
And now what's his job?
He's just another less douchey Jet.
Maybe he is douchey, but he just speaks in metaphor, so it's harder to recognize it.
Yeah, no. Oh, that guy seemed real nice. No, he's a total douche, but you didn't notice because, Stigwar, his drawers full of dung, does not mean what you think it means.
Yeah. So what about you? What kinds of things stood out to you?
So bronze pineapple, right off the bat. What's the deal with the bronze pineapple? That's all I need to know.
Is that a reference to something, or is it just random?
I don't know. Couldn't even begin to tell you. Pineapple being the international symbol of hospitality, but don't take this the wrong way, Captain. You aren't very hospitable.
Yeah, her attitude maybe is not the most hospitable of all the Starfleet captains. But yes, that's indeed a strange object. I feel like they just needed to fill out a lot of the random stuff that she had on her shelves. And then you're like, you know what? Pineapple.
And of course, the alien scammer who gets found out at the end. Fantastic scene.
Yes. So what is a tractor factor?
Yeah, what is a tractor factor? I assume it's like the, phaser settings. Only it's tractor factor.
So, like, whenever the captain tells you to tractor beam something, does the officer in charge just have to, like, make a judgment call on which tractor factor
Well,
to
I would
use?
assume you always start with the lowest tractor factor and you work your way up from there. I mean, you're not going to go full bore tractor factor if you have no idea what you're up against.
It's a good observation.
Or, you know what? We don't really see what's going on their control panels. Maybe Clippy's down there in the corner being all like, oh boy, this looks like a job for Tractor Factor 4.
No, it's Badgie. Badgie, I'm sure, has snaked his way
I
into
hope
the
not.
panels
Jesus
there
Christ,
somewhere.
that dude was a sociopath. And I mean, Clippy was a sociopath too, but at least he was confined to the desktop environment.
That is true. Yeah, great. That was a great little, like, you could even call that a little C plot, possibly. All those teeny tiny. But enjoyed that. Shows, yeah. I wish that Captain Freeman was like a little bit more on her game, but it does make for some funny scenarios.
Hey, you know what? Not everybody can be a Jellicoe. Greatest captain
That's true.
in Starfleet. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
And your boy Ransom was on the ball. He's like, "Are we sure we want to do this?" And Captain Freeman was like, "Yes." And you know what? I think your boy was right.
Yeah, of course Ransom was right. It's his job as the first officer to be right.
Is that what his job is?
Yeah, and I love the fact that Ransom makes what you think is a dig at his ex being a poisonous, carnivorous alien with the strength of 10 men. And then you realize you've seen who he's dated before, and you're like, maybe that's just an accurate description.
Yes, he always goes for these super deadly
aliens.
aliens.
For the salt vampires. Yeah,
yes.
Can you blame him? Those sexy, sexy salt vampire curves.
I don't think we've ever seen him successfully like date anyone on the show. He just has misadventures.
Well, yeah, you don't really
Billups.
date salt vampires. It's a one and done. Yeah, you give him the number, but it's the wrong number.
And speaking of senior officers getting trod on, we have to talk about your romantic partner for Rutherford. Yeah, I think we do, because Billups, he can't even get his daiquiri because
his bartender is shitty.
And you know what? Rutherford doesn't even care. I don't think there's a future with Rutherlips.
Yep. No. This is just a lull. It's going to come back around. They're going to get their ship.
It's going to be like a will they, won't they?
Fly off into the frontier together. Keeping that thing in tip-top shape. But a couple of other interesting things that I... not big deals, but just stuff I thought was interesting. Starfleet totally doesn't do nefarious black ops, except, all those times it does.
That they do.
Yes.
Like literally in the show.
Yes. I love Boimler and Rutherford's defense as to why they would believe that Mariner was secretly black ops. Because why else would a badass like her hang around with them? That is so tragically sad.
I know.
Did you catch the name of the shuttle that they gave the guy?
What was it? Was it Yosemite Tree?
No, Joshua Tree.
What was it?
And I
Joshua Tree.
Didn't
Joshua
we
Tree.
previously see a Sequoia? I think all of the California-class shuttlecraft are named after parks in California.
I think you're right.
Well, I mean, you don't have to think. You can know I'm right. I'm always right.
I know that you're probably right.
No, not probably. Definitely.
At least they got the shuttle back.
I could go either way.
Take it or leave the shuttle.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a Voyager situation. I'm sure they've got, 50 of them stuffed somewhere.
According to the MSD, there's, 12 shuttles. They have, a bunch of shuttles. Yeah. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be okay.
Another random bit that we've seen on board the Cerritos is the Kzinti, the fish people the cat person
people.
With the fish ears.
Yeah, from the slaver weapon.
Yes.
That never appeared again in
episodes.
canon due to conflict with the Niven estate, at least according to old... What am I looking for here? What do you call that? Conjecture?
Sure.
According to fan conjecture, the Kzinti were never seen after their first episode because the Niven estate would not allow it.
Yes, I wonder what kind of legal shenanigans they've pulled in order to get them. And it's in the bar scene when they're drinking at the start of the episode, and they make whoever animated this made sure you saw this Kzinti because there's several shots and reverse shots.
Yes,
where the Kzinti shows up back to back, so they very purposefully put.
And it may just be a matter of they can use the visuals, but they can't use the name or any other details about them.
Oh,
the visuals are unique to Star Trek, but everything else was taken from Niven.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. But it was very cool to see that.
Or
at least.
maybe they just said, "Damn the lawyers! We will do as we please."
And what we also saw in that bar scene is the board game that Boimler and Rutherford were playing, and that they bring up back at the back of the episode. It's the diplomacy board game. Hilariously called Diplo-math, which I thought was amazing because the entire thing is about making sure that your numbers are just as sad as the other guy's numbers, and thereby you win.
It's one of those games where the goal is not to win, but just to make sure that the other guy doesn't.
And I was hoping actually that this board game was somehow a reference to something, but I did some poking around and I can't see this game show up anywhere else, so it could be original to Lower Decks.
Yeah, however, I suspect it will show up somewhere else. Give it a few months, and some entrepreneurial spirit will put together all the tools you need to make your very own Diplo-math board game.
Although, to be honest, I can't say it looked that fun. But maybe they'll make a fun version, who knows?
Well, I mean, we only saw a few seconds of it, so who knows?
Yeah, that's true. It's very colorful, at least. It'll look good on your shelf while you're not playing it. One more thing I wanted to touch on.
You're always touching things, Stavros.
I know.
I thought we talked about
touch upon lots of things.
I can't handle the cops coming by again.
I will touch upon one further thing, and that is the relationship between Shaxs and Dr. T'Ana. Are they an item?
Well, obviously. I mean, you don't invite people back to your room in a very familiar manner unless you're an item or you're me.
Oh, damn. But no, I couldn't tell if this was maybe a one-off thing, and Shaxs deadpans the look back, so I couldn't really tell. It's like he's kind of expecting that.
He looked into it,
so they must have a relationship.
Yeah, I'm assuming a relationship.
Yeah. But. And it's I guess it's just a symptom of the main characters being in the lower decks. But darn it, I think we need to know about the senior officers' relationships too.
I don't think we really need to. I think we've seen this already go awry too often in series. Do we really need
too many relationships?
Unrequited love between Picard and Crusher, or a weirdly inauthentic relationship between Seven of Nine and Chakotay?
Ugh, let's not go there.
Or a creepy stalker relationship like Kirk and Yeoman Rand?
You know what? I think all relationships need to be between a person and a candle. I'll just leave it there.
I don't know what that means.
All candles from Irish planets.
Oh my god. Anyways.
Do we have more to talk about? Have we covered every single thing there is?
I feel like we've said more than we should.
I think that always happens in some way or another.
Yes, but I feel like this is drawing to an end, which is probably a good thing because I've had a few too many, and I probably shouldn't pour another one. So I think we need to turn out the lights and call it a night. But for those of you at home, you can catch us next week for our review of episode 5. But in the meantime, if you can't get enough of Lower Dorks, you can follow us on Twitter at Lower Dorks. Or you can stand sadly outside Stavros' window, the rain pouring down, until he takes notice and forgives you your past transgressions and invites you in for a warm cup of coffee.
As long as you're out there with the boombox, I think we can figure something out.
You're mixing your metaphors there, buddy, or references.